Hey guys, welcome to my channel. To watch this same video in Hindi, check the link in the description box below. Today we are going to make a complete painting in Madhubani style or Mithila style. For material, it is also listed in the description box below. Go and have a look at it. So without further ado, let's begin with the tutorial. To start with, I'm using a handmade paper which shouldn't be so textured. It should be smooth so that it's good for drawing. To draw or sketch, I'm using a nib and nib holder which is like a calligraphy pen. And I'm dipping it in acrylic paint which I have diluted in a small amount in a bowl which can be used to draw or sketch the design. Start with, we'll draw the borders first. So with my finger, I'm just making a mark from where I'm going to sketch the borders. And just try and remember guys, do not use a scale here. Just try to do it freehand. Because if you use scale, actually you are doing it the wrong way. In Mithila art, the women used to draw freehand because they used to paint the walls. They didn't have so many tools. They used actually twigs and bamboo sticks and stuff like that, matchsticks to paint and draw. And this is a folk art. So we shouldn't use scale. We should do everything freehand as much as possible. Maybe what you could do is practice it on a rough page and then try to do it finally for your painting. But try to do it freehand. That is the right way to do it. So as you see, I just drew double lines on one side. I'll do the same on the other side. In fact, all four sides, that's the way. And I always use my fingers to measure. So I just try to keep the method as authentic as possible so that whatever you learn is the right way to do it. So this is how I do it freehand. Just go slow and you see when you do it 10 times on a rough paper, you will be easily able to achieve this on your final painting. And it's okay if it goes a little bit hazy and it's not perfect. That's the way it should be. But try to do it freehand. So this is, again, I keep a little bit, tissue handy to clean my nib sometimes. And again, after completing the double lines that I showed you on all four sides, I just measured with my finger again and just try to create again like a frame on all four sides for my border that I'm going to make. And remember guys, last time we learned in our beginners session some easy borders, and in case you've not watched that episode, you can check the description box. I have put the link there and please go and watch it because it will be easier then to learn this painting. This session is all dependent on whatever we learned last time. So today we are going to make fishes, and all the fishes and borders that we saw in the last session, we are going to use the same techniques and tricks. So this is how we try to create the frame on all four sides of our painting. And in case it is difficult for you guys to do it freehand, you can roughly draw it with pencil, but try to practice it freehand, probably on a rough paper, so that you become an expert. All I want is that you learn the authentic way and you become an expert very soon. So this is how we try to draw the frame on all four sides, and now begins the border. Remember guys, the last time we learned the borders, the same triangle border I'm using for this. So for all those who have not watched that video, the link is in the description box. Go and check it out. So this is the same we are going to do like we did last time. So I'll just show you the corner as I showed, and the corner may differ, because we are doing it freehand, so it won't be accurate, and that's how it's supposed to be, as I say every time. So corner may differ from one and another, and that's how it makes it raw, and that is the beauty of a folk art. So this is how you do it, the lines to shade it. And now see, these are two corners that I got and they are completely different. Nothing to worry about. Just try to follow this and just try to continue on both sides in two different ways, and that's fine. It will look beautiful in the end. The intricacy, the technique, the method, the material, all these things are more important than a little flaws, and these flaws actually make the art, the folk art, more beautiful. So we continue on all four sides. And we will try to finish the border, the design, the simple design that we are using for this border. As you see, I'm doing it. So we try to finish it on all four sides. So these are simple triangles with double lines and then the shading with those fine lines on the back side. So in the front side, we leave it empty because we're going to fill it with colors later. So our border is ready. Now we have to concentrate here because we are going to do the main drawing. And I'm just showing you how you create just an S. Not a very curvy S, but just like it looks like an S. And you do it in the center of the paper so that it divides it on both sides equally. So just a curve like S you have to draw exactly in the center so that it divides on both sides equally. And then trying to replicate the same curve on the other side. So this gives a shape like a fish. So basically we have to create two fishes here. Now they are lying in opposite directions. This is a very typical motif used in Mithila art, in Madhubani painting. And that is what I'm going to show you. So you have to create two fishes, which you can easily do by making a curve which looks like S in the center. And then on the both sides, try to replicate the same curve in two opposite directions, of course, because the fishes are not lying parallel, but they are lying in opposite directions to each other. Now, this is how you try to create the first fish, and then you try to make the tail on the other side. So the face of one fish is lying with the tail of the other one, basically. So this is a very unique and very nice and typical motif used in Mithila art. So basically today we are going to create fishes, very bright and colorful fishes. Now please note here at the end of the tail, each tail, you have to just try to create a curve, and with the tail it should look like a leaf. Just try to join the ends. And then try to create the same tail that we saw last time. You remember if in the last session where we created the fishes. So we created such kind of petal-like looking like tail. So it looks like a floral pattern, but it is basically the tail of the tiny fish that we created near the tail of the big fish. So this is how you do it on both sides. So now trying to create the face, the eye. Now this you have to remember, you have to create also in opposite direction. When you are making the face or the eye, so you have to create in the opposite direction for both the fishes, which I'll show you very soon. So just let me finish the tail. So we are almost done, and I'm doing in between the shading where I'm making fine lines, but then again doing in the other direction to create a checkered pattern in the middle, which looks very beautiful when you fill in color. Now moving on to the other fish where I'm going to draw the mouth and the eye. Only thing here to note is that the mouth should be in the opposite direction because the fishes are lying in the opposite direction. That is only thing to be noted. Now moving on to my favorite part of Madhubani art is drawing those intricate designs patterns. Now starting with the tail, I'll just let the mouth part to dry a little bit. So this is the advantage of acrylic paint. It dries very fast. So by the time the mouth part is dry, I can just work on the tail or the other parts. So now I'll show you just under the mouth how you have to design the same fine lines, parallel lines, then trying to draw some spiral pattern, which is a very unique pattern used for Mithila, and it looks really beautiful when you design any kind of pattern like that. So just doing the same. Now you have to repeat the same for the other fish. Like for one fish I made the mouth and for the other the tail. Now you have to just do vice versa. For this fish you have to design the mouth in the same way and the tail, just repeat it. Now moving on to the fins, I'm just trying to design the fins for this fish. and using those same spiral patterns, and here trying to fill those with some fine lines. So this is how we do it, just trying to darken it a little bit, just the outline. Now working on my tiny fishes, so doing the same pattern that we did for the big ones. Now look at this. Do you remember the last session where we drew the fish with these zigzag lines and it looks so beautiful? So I'm going to use the same for this tiny fish here. Now you have to really note something which I'm going to show you very soon after I finish with this fish. So what I'm going to do, how is the design going to work out, I'm going to show you now. Just beside that tiny fish, we have this big fish in the center. Now have a look at it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a different design. And these are the two designs that we are going to stay with. So one was the zigzag pattern that we used for that tiny fish. And this is the next pattern that we are going to use for this big fish. So here, as you see, I just divided the fish in the center with lines, and then on both sides I'm going to just create parallel lines in a slant way. Now joining those same slant lines on the other side, giving it a V shaped. So just as you see, and in between just trying to fill it with fine lines. Now this same V pattern you have to use for the other tiny fish. So it's basically the zigzag that we made for the first tiny fish. We are going to use it for the other big fish that we have not yet done. And the same V pattern that we use for the big fish, we are going to use it now for this little tiny fish here. So it's like, you know, every opposite fish, you have to use opposite designs. So we are going to stick with these two designs, and this is how we are going to use it for all the 4 fishes that we have created. Now here with this big fish, we are going to use the same zigzag which we initially did for the tiny little fish. So this is how we are going to do the complete designing of our painting. So this is almost done. I'm just going to quickly finish the drawing, and this is exactly how our sketch is going to look like. Now is the time to fill in bright and beautiful colors. So I start with pink. As always, I say colors can be your own choice. You can choose your own colors, but you can have a look at or get inspired by my painting, whatever colors I'm using. So I start with bright pink for the fish, the zigzag fish in the center. And I'm just trying to first fill that pink in the face actually. And this is acrylic paint that I'm using. So my complete painting is done with acrylic paint. Even the black that I have used, as I said before, I diluted acrylic paint a little with water and tried to sketch the design. The same way this pink is diluted with water. And I'm just trying to fill in. Now, as you see for the pink, you have to leave a gap in between because I'm going to use some other color in that gap. So every alternate is supposed to be filled with pink, including the tail later. So this is how we are going to do or work out with the pink. So this is a bright and nice shade of pink that I'm using. So as I said, till the tail you have to continue with the pink. Just take care that every alternate space has to be left white, because in that white space we are going to fill purple. So pink with purple looks a wonderful combination. If you are trying it for your painting, it looks really beautiful. So this is how I'm going to fill my first fish that I started coloring, which is the big fish in the center, and use the same combination for the tiny fish where we use the same pattern, the zigzag pattern. So where we have 4 fishes, 2 each with 2 different designs. So for the zigzag design, we always use purple and pink combination. Now for the V pattern that we created, the fish with the V pattern, we are going to fill in bright red in the gaps that were left after we filled it with fine lines. So every gap here in the body of the fish, just the body, you have to fill it with red. So, and the same applies to the small fish with the same pattern. So we have to just try to fill it with red completely. Also on the other side, like here. So completely fill all the gaps what you see in the body of the fish and just try to fill it with red. Also red I'm using for the border. So all the triangles that you saw that we drew for the border is going to also be filled with the red. So this is how we do it. Now comes the turn for the orange and the red fish that I made with the V pattern. The tail and the face, I left it blank white. I just filled it the body with red. So now for the tail and the face, I'm using the bright and nice shade of orange, which makes it the highlight actually. When you see the painting, it really highlights the face. And this, if you use a lighter shade for the face of anything that you make, it highlights the eye, which is the very important part of any painting. So this is how we do with the orange. We try to fill in orange. And now I move into my next shade, that is green. Yes, a lot of colors used for this painting actually. So yeah, it is going to be a really nice and colorful. So whatever is left now in the fishes, like the fins and the tail of the small fishes, we are going to all cover it with this nice shade of olive green. So the fins of the big fishes were left. The tails we already covered of the big fishes, but the tiny fishes, the tails are still remaining. So we are going to fill this same green color for all of them. Now the background to be completely covered with a nice shade of blue. So this is blue that I'm going to completely cover the background with. So this is basically the water in which all the fishes are swimming. All are colorful and bright fishes swimming in blue water. It gives a very nice look. It even highlights all the reds and pinks and oranges that we used for this painting. So after completing the background with blue, just leave it to dry completely. The complete painting should be dry before we start with the next process. So I have some white paint diluted again with a little water, and I'm just trying to create some dotted pattern for the background, which adds to the beauty of this beautiful painting. So now this is just trying to give a nice dotted background, giving the feel of the water, adding to it, in fact, adding it further with this beautiful dotted white pattern. So you have to continuously do it to cover it completely. The complete background has to be covered with this white dotted pattern. This is how it looks like. Just try to cover it randomly. So you don't have to be very accurate for this. Just try to follow the line. Just try to stay on the line. And again, everything has to be raw because this is folk art. So this is how it goes. And we just move on to the other side and just try to quickly finish this white paint, white dotted lines that looks so beautiful on this blue water. And I just can't wait to see my complete painting. So thank you so much guys for watching this video and staying with me till now. And please give me a thumbs up. Please like this video if you really enjoyed doing this painting with me. And share your views in the comment section below. And do subscribe to my channel in case you haven't. And press the bell icon so that you get all the notifications. Thanks again for watching. And we are almost done with this painting. So this is how our bright and beautiful fish looks like. Now the painting for all of you. This is how it looks like. Thank you and have a great day. And stay tuned for much more. Bye. See you again.